Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host Neil.
I'm Neil. And who sent us text earlier today that he has to go take care of a gigantic fucked up fire in Idaho?
That would be David. David is not with us because he's out working hard as usual during this time of year, fighting fires.
That was, I know we can't really share it with everybody, but the picture that he shared with us was scary. Like how huge. Just from a distance, you could see that smoke plume coming off that fire.
Yeah, so he's going to be super busy. And man, the guy, I don't want to say he's old, but for his age, he's really working hard. He's younger than us by a lot, but,
How old is he?
I think he is got to be 41, 42, maybe. 43.
Oh, a baby. He's a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But today, we're going back to the halcyon days of 1982, possibly one of the greatest years for movies ever, possibly one of the greatest years for movies ever in 1982. And we're talking about Tron from 1982.
I'm not clear on the release date.
I think it was 82.
Okay.
Yeah. But I had not seen this movie probably since I was super young. I just did not. It's one of those movies that really hit me, and I didn't really have that many memories of it. So watching it again for the podcast was like watching it for the first time. And
really,
I can see the benefits of it. It was ahead of its time.
I enjoyed this movie. I remember waiting for this in the 5th grade. I remember thinking how great it was, but there were just some mind-numbingly amazing films. Probably one of the best movies ever made was released in 1982 that way overshadows this.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about what a rough year it is to be released in the middle of the summer in June of 1982. But before we do that, let's do what we always do. Neil, what did you watch this week?
Didn't watch a ton, but I watched 2 movies last night, and they weren't great movies, but it was the circumstance for watching the movies that was good. Normally, our son is 15. Andrew's 16?
Yes.
He's almost like a year older. Okay, almost 17. So there tends to be a lot of isolating. Like, I'm just going to go in my room. I'm going to go in my room and do my thing. I don't want to talk to you guys. Why are you guys dorks? You're just going to embarrass me. Our son came out and he goes, I want to watch a movie with you guys. I want to watch something funny. So we started flipping through and he saw Grown Ups, and he likes Adam Sandler movies because they're stupid. So last night we watched Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he laughed his head off at all just a dumb ass Adam Sandler movies. I watched a few other things, but I think that is the only watching that I did that really seemed worthwhile just because I was hanging on the couch with my kid. But I also have my tickets for Alien Romulus for next weekend.
Oh, I definitely want to hear your review of that. I may go see it next week. It just depends. I have some overtime lined up, so I may not be able to get to the theater.
I had to put in some reward points, man. I'm going to go see it in XD.
I hear it's really, really good. I'm hearing positive vibes, positive news from a movie that is actually scary and gross, which you want an alien movie to be.
That's perfect. That's right up both of our alleys.
So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Right. Besides the things you're looking forward to, what did you actually watch?
The original Deadpool has been on HBO quite a bit. So I think I watched that 1.5 times. I watched it all the way through one day when I got off of work. I was kind of tired, so I just kind of laid down on the big couch in the basement and just kind of watched it. It held my attention enough where I didn't go to sleep, so I watched the entire thing. Thought it was funny. And I actually think it's the best Deadpool movie. The first one still is the best one. And I like Deadpool and Wolverine and stuff like that, but I felt like this one was the right amount of funny and with good references and stuff like that. And it didn't It wasn't like, hey, remember these people? Remember these people? Remember these people? That's which although I like Deadpool and Wolverine, I felt like a lot of it was kind of that. For good or bad, it was kind of a greatest hits, pull out all the old characters movie.
See, I like the third one because it was very Deadpool-y. It was all about the fourth wall and bringing back, winks at things you'd seen before and that we all knew were there. I liked it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think 1 and 3, and then 2 occasionally was great. I just loved how like X-Force just got their asses kicked, like without even trying. Mm-hmm. And the whole reference, I still reference the prison wallet constantly. Mm-hmm. Where'd that come from? Probably his prison wallet. What's that? You can tell the people that have not watched it.
Also, Alien and Aliens have been on FX quite a bit, in anticipation of Alien Romulus. So I've caught a little bit of Alien, which is so damn good. It's just so good. Listen to our podcast of it if you haven't yet. It's so good. And Aliens is, I don't know. Is Aliens better than Alien? I don't know.
See that? God dang, that is a tough question because given the chance to watch either, I'd watch either. If it was up to the household, we would watch Aliens because my wife really loves Aliens because of the character Vasquez.
Yeah.
But they're both absolutely fantastic.
I know the Alien was so original, and it's kind of like a haunted house movie in space. The art direction is just amazing. The set design and probably the greatest, scariest creature ever devised in any movie ever. I mean, like that was the first like alien that you ever saw that was not like your typical gray, big-eyed kind of alien or whatever. It was beyond description or whatever, and it's still the scariest creature design I think ever. And H.R. Giger deserves all the credit for that one. Aliens is so much fun. I think Aliens is more fun than Alien, just because of the whole the interplay between all the characters and Hicks and Hudson and Vasquez and just Ripley.
Come here, Hicks. Look into my eye.
So, yeah, they're so good. So I'm glad Alien Romulus has kind of brought back that original flavor where they've kind of lost their way. I do like Prometheus because it looks great. It just has the most stupid scientists ever. Hey, let me pet this crazy space cobra and let it, bite my hand and jump into my suit. And, it looks great, but it just makes no damn sense. And that one scene where Runa Mari, is it Runa Mari? I think it is. She's like getting the alien taken out of her by that surgical machine. It's so gross. But then she's running around doing flips and falling all over with a fresh surgery, just out of surgery.
Yeah. I was actually thinking that very thing. It's like there was something that bugged me about that. And then you touched all over that. Maybe you and I just don't understand the nuances of space medicine.
Yeah, probably not. Alien Covenant, I have not seen. I hear it's got some good parts to it, but also some shit to it. So I have not. It's typical.
It's not bad. It expands on the lore, and it does have the alien in it. There's a very kind of creepy, scary scene where they're trying to fly away, and the alien's like, no. This is not how we do this. No. Let me jump on your ship.
I just think it's like the people are on this. The only part I've seen is they get out of the ship. They're wandering around. They have no breathing protection or anything like that. And all these spores, get into their lungs and just screw everybody up. And, just no precautions or anything like that. Even that's the whole thing about the first Alien is if they would have just listened to Ripley and not violated the quarantine and not let him in, John Hurt's character in, none of this would have happened. She was smart.
So I was looking, Noomi Rapace.
Okay.
That was her.
Okay, I always get her and Rooney Mara mixed up.
Well, I mean, they look a little bit alike.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'd kind of find out what, if you actually watched Covenant, there's some play into that as well.
Yeah.
Super good. Magneto shows up as a robot and just
plays a flute with his character or whatever, his doppelganger or whatever.
Things go sideways.
Yeah. Just Yeah. I think that's a lot of the problem, and we'll talk about this in Tron a little bit, is that they try to explain too much. And I haven't seen Tron Legacy, but I kind of imagine that's probably what happens. Is like every time you have a good concept, they broaden it out and then try to over explain it, and it ruins kind of what the movie is. It's just like getting with the Halloween sequels, oh, he was Michael's sister, or blah blah, or hey, what about Anakin Skywalker? This is what he was like when Darth Vader was like when he was a kid, and all that kind of shit. They just tried to ruin the essence of what. I'm really sounding old right now, but
what really grinds Eric's gears?
Really grinds my ear.
Have you seen the new Tron?
No, I'm not tuned. I started it. I put it in my queue on Disney Plus because it looks good and it's got a Daft Punk score and it's supposed to be, it looks pretty good. And there's a new one called Tron Ares coming out that has Nine Inch Nails doing the music for it this time.
Yeah, there's a animated Tron movie as well that I had never heard of before. I watched the new Tron and I couldn't tell you what it was about. I was such a Tron purist. I just sat there and I'm like, oh, they fucked that up. Oh, they fucked that up. oh, they fucked that up too.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Tron from what year was it again?
1982, 82.
You want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline?
A computer hacker is abducted into the digital world and forced to participate in gladiatorial games where his only chance of escape is with the help of a heroic security program and a sentence with no commas.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Directed by Steven, I'm going to say Lisberger or Lisberger, Lisberger.
Here on, he will be known as Steve.
Steve. Well, he was also responsible for the story with a Bonnie McBird. He wrote the screenplay, and he basically was responsible for creating a lot of the tech that started the movie. And a lot of stuff in the 70s had that kind of backlit, glowy look to it. One huge example is that there's a Jackson's video, and this is probably the 80s instead of the 70s, but it's a Jackson song called "Can You Feel It?" And everything looks like Tron in that video. It's like very glowy, backlit 70s kind of look to it.
Well, if we know anything from this movie, that all programs are Caucasian. That's
true. It is a very whitewashed digital world. Yeah, so it was released July 9th, 1982, with a budget of $17 million, box office of $50 million. So it made a profit, but as far as the box office goes, it was considered a disappointment, but it made a shitload in merch sales, $70 million in merch sales, and a lot of money in video game plays for that Tron machine that we'll talk about extensively.
God, that was so good. Somewhere around in the house, I've got the Light Cycle Legos. As soon as I saw those, I'm like, all right, I've got to have that. I had all kinds of Tron toys when I was a kid.
I know you love Tron, and I almost bought a Tron figure at this kind of like vintage toy store in the mall we have here, but it was just way too much. It was like price gouging, and it wasn't that great in shape. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll find one on eBay or something. But they were just a little too proud of it. But it was, it was clear, like those cool, they had a really cool toy line with it had Sark and it had Flynn,
yeah,
and it had Tron, and then you had a Light Cycle.
And they had the guards too, but the guards were like yellow plastic. Sark was red plastic. Tron, and then Tron actually had a separate little like glow in the dark disc that you could get for that. And if you were super lucky, they had them in like a tri-pack. It was so good. And I think I had the Flynn one because I got like a flimsy plastic, like that weird half tunic thing that they wore.
Yeah, little toga tunic thing. Yeah,
those were badass.
As we've heard from was it Danny McBride in The Land of the Lost? Never trust a man in a tunic.
Never trust a man in a tunic.
But yeah, it was that merch was awesome. I mean, that was really cool looking toys, and this was peak toys for us because I was 9, and you were 10 in this time, and I love the clear toys like the Tron toys, Micronauts had the coolest clear looking, the clear plastic toys. The 4-inch action figure was where it was at.
Damn,
with
dude. Like, I can't believe, and we've this has ground our gears before, that we would get these things for our kids and they would just kind of look at them like, what? Like, this, I'm giving you pure imagination gold here.
Mm-hmm. I know I brought my son like a Iron Man 4-inch figure, the Gladiator from from the X-Men. He was the one who fought the Hulk all the time. Who was so powerful that he was like basically like Superman, except for if you screwed with his confidence and he would get weaker or whatever. Super cool little 4-inch figure, and they're still downstairs. And Andrew never played with them, which action figures were our lives when we were kids.
They so were, but God, I felt lucky because I got an Intellivision, and they had the Tron games were amazing. For the Intellivision, Tron Deadly Discs and Tron Mazatron. As far as like home video gaming, that was
the Intellivision was much better than the Atari. And I just remember it had the little number pads, or you could put the little overlay of the
you put the overlay in it, and you had a little disc at the bottom. And you rotated your thumb on the disc to make it go places. And then on that number pad, you could punch in certain things you wanted it to do. Mm-hmm. But then it was this rectangular controller. But then again, on the sides of that, there were 2 other buttons. So 4 more buttons total.
Yeah.
So you could get some complicated shit going on with those games.
Well, the Atari was just one button on a very solid, immovable joystick. And yeah, the Intellivision was cool. I remember I had a friend, I think it was one of our babysitters, something like that. They had the Intellivision, and they had Burger Time on the Intellivision, and it looked so much better than like the Atari version. And it was fun. We used to play the hell out of Burger Time, and they had like a kind of a Space Invaders one that looked much better than the Atari.
Oh, and then we had the Adventures of Tron as well.
I think the only really good Atari game was Combat was pretty good. And what was the one that was the adventure one with the guy, you're jumping over pits with alligators in it?
Pitfall,
yes, duh.
Wait, okay,
I'm
going to take you back in time. Are you ready? It's almost like you're back playing it. You've just leapt over and you're on the vine.
Yes, Pitfall was pretty sweet. We've talked about it before. The E.T. video game was pure shite.
Pure ass.
Oh my God. You kept falling into craters, and you'd have to lift yourself out. And then you'd fall in another. And you'd fall in another. And it was just,
Your neck would extend and out you'd float.
Yeah. But we're going to talk a lot about video games in this movie, because it's, it's a movie about video games, but also how much video games were a part of our lives back in the day, especially arcades. So let's talk about the year 1982, considering what an amazing year it was. E.T. was the number 1 movie. Have we done an episode on E.T.? I think we have. I don't know.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Sure. I've really got to put a list together.
We've done like 201 episodes. I don't really
know. Of all the movies we've done, it's ridiculous.
Because the first 3 movies we've all done. So E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Rocky 3.
All right.
We're never going to do an On Golden Pond episode. We may do an Officer and Gentleman episode, because I love that movie. I love that damn movie, An Officer and Gentleman.
I got nowhere else to go.
I got nowhere else to go. I will watch that movie.
All right, No. Fuck this list. Fuck this list right now. Listen.
Talking about number 15.
Fuck this list. Take that 5 off, and that's where that movie belongs.
Conan the Barbarian.
That's right.
E.T. number 15.
E.T. little sissy. Can't even fight for himself. Got to have everybody else pedal his ass around because of his stubby little legs. Conan would have taken care of that. Conan would have never allowed them to reissue that movie and take the shotguns out of their hands and put the stupid walkie-talkies in.
Yeah. I think I need to tally up the number of movies from 1982 we've done. It is an insane amount. Star Trek Wrath of Khan, Poltergeist, First Blood, Conan the Barbarian, The Sword and the Sorcerer, which is amazing to me that movie was 16. Because that movie sucks. The Sword and the Sorcerer is so bad. I can't believe it made that much money. Friday the 13th Part 3. Tron was 26. The World According to Garp. I love that movie.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh my God. It was way too much adult material for me to grasp when I was 9, but I loved it. Blade Runner, which we've done an episode on. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Holy crap. Pink Floyd The Wall. I love that movie. Creep Show, which we still need to do.
48 Hours, man.
Yeah. The Thing we've done.
Dark Crystal we've done.
Yeah, Dark Crystal we've done. Yeah, there's just Halloween 3. Empire Strikes Back re-release. Amityville 2, we'll have to do that one. That's crazy. Silent Rage.
Rage. We have done an episode on Silent Rage.
Yeah, 82 is just amazing. Just so many good movies. They Call Me Bruce. Yeah, just really, really good collection of movies.
Remember The Beast Within?
Yes, I do remember The Beast Within. That movie is insane because it's the limits of what bladder effects can do. I just remember like the guy's face just blowing up to like epic proportions, you know, they just kept blowing it up and up and up.
Forced Vengeance is on this.
Number 60, The Beastmaster. Damn. Private Lessons, that's a Cinemax classic. Yeah, just tons of good movies. 82, arguably one of the best years ever for movies. 81, I think, is the best year for slasher movies. That is but I think as far as like a mixture of just stone cold classics, sci-fi, action, horror, you can't beat 82. It's amazing. So let's talk about the cast a little bit. Jeff Bridges is Flynn. Also Clue, who screams really weird when that one part where he's like, you know, he's going to get hit in the tank.
He just shrieks.
It's just a weird insert shot like, hey, scream. Ah! Then Bruce Boxleitner is Alan / Tron. David Warner is Dillinger, a.k.a. also Sark. Cindy Morgan is Laura and Yori. And Bernard Hughes is Dr. Walter Gibbs. Dr. Walter Gibbs and Dumont. He's also the grandfather in Lost Boys. Bruce Boxleitner, man, he has this just kind of generic kind of acting presence. He was in tons of stuff. Oh, The Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Didn't he marry like Melissa Gilbert or something like that? Like, and to make the whitest humans possible?
Yes, he second marriage to Melissa Gilbert.
There we go.
They separated after 16 years of marriage in 2011. Then, yeah. So Tron, Breakaway, The Babe, Tron Legacy is also in that. But a lot of TV, tons of TV. The Gambler with Kenny Rogers. The Gambler, The Adventure continues. The Gambler 3, The Legend continues.
Apparently,
Gambler 5.
Holy crap. He knew when to hold them. But apparently he did not know when to fold them.
Yeah, did not know when to walk away. He was in Babylon 5. That's a show that I don't remember anything about.
Really? Yeah. Babylon 5, it had promise. They always took it right to the edge of being good, but then never took it over the top.
He was in a lot of TV shows. So this guy was just a prolific TV show actor. But he has this kind of like generic kind of look to him. Not an insult to him. He's a handsome guy, but he's just kind of a, everyman quality to him. Jeff Bridges, of course.
Listen to the sound of the shovel as you dig that hole. Let's go.
Jeff Bridges, of course, has been in tons of stuff. He, this and Starman are the two things from the 80s that I remember the most out of him. And Starman is a really kind of an underrated John Carpenter movie, I think.
I was going to agree with you on that one. Very good. Greetings, programs. Cindy Morgan, only knew her from this movie and Caddyshack.
Oh, yeah, she was in Caddyshack, huh?
Yes. I'm surprised that didn't stick in your mind because there was boobage in that.
Yes, there was boobage. Going back to Caddyshack, that's probably one of the first movies I ever saw that had boobs.
Really?
Yeah, like I remember like one of those days where you rent the VCR and you get the movie with the VCR, and then you watch it. And we remember seeing this at my aunt's house, Caddyshack, and we all thought it was funny because all the kids wanted to see it because of the stupid gopher.
Yeah.
That we thought it was just all about a puppet gopher causing havoc. Little did we know it was full of duty in the pool and boobs and general sarcasm from Chevy Chase and Bill Murray.
Gunga Galunga. He's a big hitter, the llama. So fun.
So let's go with the critical consensus here.
All right, the film, it was well received by critics. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 4 out of 5 stars, described it as a dazzling movie from Disney in which computers have been used to make themselves romantic and glamorous. Here's a technological sound and light show that is sensational and brainy, stylish, and fun. However, near the end of his review, he noted, in a positive tone, this is an almost wholly technological movie. Although it's populated by actors who are engaging or sinister, it's not really a movie about human nature, like Star Wars or The Empire Strikes Back. But much more so, this movie is a machine to dazzle and delight us. Ebert closed his first annual Overlooked Film Festival with a showing of Tron. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune also awarded 4 out of 4 stars, calling it a trip and a terrifyingly entertaining one at that. It's a dazzler that opens up our minds to our new tools, all in a traditional film narrative. Each gave the film 2 thumbs up. Tron was also featured in Siskel and Ebert's Video Pick of the Week in 1993. I don't know. I thought the movie was very human because the computers are doing very human things. Grabbing for power, delighting in sadism, like certain regimes have done. InfoWorld's Deborah Wise was impressed, writing that it's hard to believe the characters acted out the scenes in a darkened soundstage. We see characters throwing illuminated frisbees, driving light cycles on a video game grid, playing a dangerous version of High-Lie, and zapping numerous fluorescent tanks in an arcade game-type mazes. It's exciting, it's fun, and it's just what video game fans and anyone with a spirit of adventure will love, despite plot weaknesses. On the other hand, Variety disliked the film because they are a bunch of soulless dicks, and said in its review, Tron is loaded with visual delights but falls short of the mark in story and viewer involvement. Screenwriter-director Steve Leisberger was adequately marshaled a huge force of technicians to deliver the dazzle, but even kids, and specifically computer game geeks, will have a difficult time getting hooked on the situations. In her review for the New York Times, Janet Maslin criticized the film's visual effects. They're loud, bright, and empty, but they're all this movie has to offer. Wow, a movie about video games that's loud and bright. Who would have thought, Janet? The Washington Post's Gary Arnold wrote, fascinating as they are as discrete sequences, the computer-animated episodes don't build dramatically. They remain a miscellaneous form of abstract spectacle, pretty much like every cutscene in a video game ever. In his review for the Globe and Mail, Jay Scott wrote, it's got momentum and it's got marvels, but it's without heart. It's visionary, technological achievement without vision. Jay Scott can go fuck himself. Colin Greenland reviewed the home video release of Tron for Imagine Magazine and stated that 3 plucky young programmers descend into the micro world. Actually, only one. Did you even watch the movie, Colin? You jackass. To battle the Master Control program with a sacred frisbee. You fucking dick. That's your disc. It imprints everything you learn on it and do. Loses much of his excitement on the little screen. I don't think Colin watched the fucking movie.
Yeah.
On Rotten Tomatoes, just because the characters looked like their users because they were written by their users. 73% rating based on reviews of 71 critics with an average rating of 6.4 of 10. The website's consensus states, though perhaps not as strong dramatically as it is technologically, Tron is an original and visual stunning piece of science fiction that represents a landmark work in the history of computer animation. Metacritic gave the score of 58 on 13 reviews, indicating mixed or average reviews, because Metacritic is stupid. In the year it was released, the Academy of Motion Picture Awards of Arts and Sciences refused to nominate Tron for Special Effects Academy Award because, as a director, Steve Leisberger put it, the Academy thought we cheated by using computers. My, how things have changed.
Yeah, and it's so funny, and that shows that this movie was so ahead of its time visually that people just couldn't comprehend what the hell they were doing, you know. And yeah, it just, I think I included this thing about the cultural effect because I think that really kind of
well, it did get nods. It did get nods for costume design and best sound.
Oh, the sound is good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dude, anytime I see anything flying at me, all I can think of is in 97, Ken Perlin of the Mathematical Applications Group Incorporated won an Academy Award for technical achievement for his invention of Perlin noise for Tron. The film, considered groundbreaking, has inspired several individuals in numerous ways. John Lasseter, head of Pixar and Disney's animation group, described how the film helped him see the potential of computer-generated imagery in the production of animated films, stating, "Without Tron, there would be no Toy Story." The two members of the French house music group Daft Punk, who scored the sequel and also had a cameo appearance in it, have held a joint lifelong fascination with the film. Also in Gorillaz' music video for the song Feel Good Inc., Russell, the fictional drummer of the band, can be seen wearing an NCOM hat. Tron developed into a cult film and was ranked as 13th in a 2010 list of the top 20 cult films published by the Boston Globe. The film heavily inspired the music video for Danish pop dance group Infernal's 2000 hit single From Paris to Berlin, the music video for Australian rock band Regurgitator.
Australian, sorry.
Yeah, Regurgitator. No, it's Regurgit. Man, what the hell? That all I can do is, as I'm looking at this, I'm trying not to say it in a freaking Australian accent. It's just no way to do it.
Yeah.
There's no way. 1997 song Everyday Formula was also heavily inspired by the film and recreates several scenes. Regurgitator. Yeah, okay, totally off topic. You ever listen to Jim Jeffries?
Yeah.
You ever hear the thing why he says he can't have sex with Australian women?
Yeah, it sounds familiar. I don't remember.
He's like, I can't. You can't hear that accent. Like, fuck me, harder. Oh, my mind's all over the place. In 2008, the American Film Institute nominated this film for its top 10 science fiction films list. Holy shit, that was a lot.
I'm a huge Daft Punk fan, and they have an album Alive 1997, and they do this live kind of rave thing. If you watch the video at the end, they totally take the Tron red glowing on their outfits and stuff like that. It's just like it's all black in this pyramid, and it turns red, and their outfits are all red, like the helicopter that comes in. Yeah. Looks fucking awesome. Looks really, really good. The movie, and it's kind of going back to it, it is super, super just influential. And let's go. I wanted to bring this up with you. You were talking about it last week about how you had so much merch before the movie that came out that you were so hyped up to see it.
So huge. If you would have caught me at any point and said, "What is that magazine you're reading?" I would have told you the entire plot, because I had the book. I had the comic books. I had the making of. They had started to release toys early, which was a smart move considering that those types of action figures were what drove moms and dads to take kids. Like, I didn't even know I'd not even seen some of the characters. Like, I knew who Dumont was, but I'd never seen him in his like little thing. Mm-hmm. And I'd seen like a mock-up of Dumont in a magazine, and then just poured over every place I could find to try to find that goddamn toy.
And there was one magazine that we always looked at, especially, you and I and other kids of our age. It was Starlog.
Oh, I thought you like magazine. Playboy?
Oh, Playboy too. You would sneak that. Like if you went to Walden Books, all the science fiction and movie books were on the lower level where the kids could read it. So you would look at then Fangoria was a little bit higher. And then there was like heavy metal. And then up at the top was, Playboy, Penthouse Variations, and Hustler. Dirty Hustler. Yeah. But Starlog magazine had a big old write-up on Tron, and I remember seeing it and just thinking it looked cool as hell. And then seeing the preview with the light cycles, that was just like every kid wanted they wanted a light cycle. That was just the coolest thing ever.
I can still smell the arcade. I can still see that clear plastic with the blue lights inside handle. And I can hear those light cycles starting up, that boom, 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 that just playing the light cycles. And the first time you see it, you're like, oh, I could do this. And you get your ass kicked. You got to do one light cycle. Then you got to do 3 light cycles. I never got past 3.
Now, going back to that, and we'll talk about it now. That Tron had the coolest cabinet of any video game, I think, because, like you said, it had the cool clear blue plastic main controller.
It had the
also
little,
had
the little
it also
twisty
had the
knob.
wheel, like the Tempest twist controller, the twisty knob controller.
Yeah,
and it was blacklit. Like there's a black light under the top of the cabinet that shone down on the CRT.
For those of you listening, Eric is gesturing with his hands a great deal right now.
Trying to describe it. There was kind of like the CRT was tilted, and then there was a black light on it. So you would put your hands on it, and it would glow on your hands, and it was really cool. And that clear joystick was fucking amazing, and they had amazing sound. Because a lot of the more expensive arcade cabinets, like they didn't really make that many Tron, but they had the stereo sound, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah, especially when you were right underneath it playing. You're sitting there trying to blast through the walls of the MCP to try to get in there.
Yeah, the
I did notice. Because my wife has always got, she's always yelling at me. I'm not like, oh my God, did you hear the music? And I'm like, no, I didn't pay any attention to the music. But this, I made a concerted effort. And I've seen this movie a lot because I enjoyed it as a kid. It's just a freaking walk down memory lane. I love it. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh, they use this. This is how stupid I am. They're using the same music from the video game for this.
And you're like, no, the video game is just gonna be the sound of the movie.
Just everybody knows, when I did have hair, it was black, not blonde. And though I have no hair now, I even said that out loud, and that went over really, really well with everybody in the room.
She's like, dumbass.
Yeah, but she knew that already.
Mm-hmm. So the plot is pretty thin. It looks great, especially I watched it on Disney Plus, and whatever the remaster is, it looks so good. Like the real world scenes are shot in like 70 millimeter or something. They're very, very clear and cool looking. It's just the shots of the labs are really cool. The clinical white labs that you're used to seeing in these types of movies, and that desk that Dillinger had with the screen inside it and stuff. I thought that was just fucking cool. Cool as hell.
That's the worst ergonomic work desk ever.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit down and do it. You got to be up all the time. You're going to be hunched over. You're going to have a crick in the back of your neck.
But that was before ergonomics.
That didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter. If it looked cool, you just didn't. So Flynn is Jeff Bridges plays Flynn, and he's our main character, and he's trying to hack into Encom, and you see him virtually kind of, using a character called Clue to get into their mainframe. And then there's the tanks and the recognizers. And it looks really cool. And you're wondering what the hell's going on? Like, what is going on in this movie? It doesn't really tell you exactly what's going on until you get deeper into the plot.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. And I feel really stupid that I just realized this, but I have at work 3 3D printers at my desk. And I just realized I can go and print myself a recognizer tomorrow.
Oh, sweet.
When I go into work, I can totally print that tomorrow. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go print a recognizer. When am I going to do it? Tomorrow.
And just the look was really cool. The interesting thing to me is that they wore white and black outfits, and everything was, rotoscoped and put on in post. And instead of green screen, it was all black screen. And this is, they were pretty much way ahead of the time acting in an environment where they couldn't see anything. It was just them in their costumes on like blank sets, and they had to react to basically nothing. And that is pretty much almost all movies like that, especially, when you get to like the Star Wars prequels, they're just on the big green screen, and then they just put everything in, around you. But this movie was way ahead of its time in that. And it's basically a corporate espionage plot where Dillinger is the bad guy. He's the programmer of the MCP, and he steals Flynn's ideas for these video games. And Flynn's is trying to hack in to get the proof that Dillinger screwed him over. So he can take credit for it. But Flynn has an arcade, which is pretty sweet. I love me an arcade. I cannot tell you how much I loved arcades as a kid. It was just one of the greatest things ever to me.
Preach, brother, preach.
Man, I still love, even if I go to like a Dave and Buster's or something where there's just a lot of arcade machines and stuff, I still get that nostalgic feeling where,
it's homey. It's almost homey.
And what was the one home arcade we had at the Animas Valley Mall that we played and spent hours and hours and hours at?
Well, that would be the Fun Factory.
The Fun Factory. Hell yeah. Oh my God.
As soon as remember how exciting it was when they got a new game?
Yeah.
They had the really cool games kind of in the back with that stupid ass pool table.
Mm-hmm.
How much money we pumped into Dragon's Lair?
Yeah, when you walked in, the entrance right next to the Chelsea's London pubs, that's where they usually put the brand new, more stuff that they wanted people to attract to. But as you got further back, where the pool tables were, that was kind of scary because it was adults and scary older youths back there playing and stuff like that. So when you were like 10 or 12, you didn't really want to go back there that much because you didn't want to get harassed by an older person and see a drug deal or something like that going on in our town. But this is going to tell you a sad part of my childhood. My dad would go and drink at Chelsea's, give me $5 and say, go play some video games. And I would get $5 for the quarters and I would just play the shit out of video games, check in with him a little every once in a while, and he was nicely toasted. And after a while we would go home or something, but he was just like, he would give my sister and I money and we would just go and play video games. And even like the skating rinks, what was one it was called? Was it Cheapskate?
I can't remember.
It's the one where like the DMV is now and the like Hacienda Mexican restaurant, but it was in that area. It was a skating rink.
Well, and then they had the one like right where the Toyota. We're talking about this like everybody here grew up where we grew up in Farmington. They've got the Toyota dealership where it is now, and then right over there also used to be a skating rink there as well.
Yeah,
that's where
Skateland, I think.
Yes, I think that was the name of it.
Cheapskate and Skateland. Those are the two ones, and one of them was ghetto and old. And you would go there for a field trip in 6th grade, and all the music on the jukebox was still from the 70s. You have to pick like Dancing Queen and Rod Stewart and stuff like that. They didn't have anything new. Where at the Skateland, that's when all the people could do. They did the skating challenges where like the limbo and all that kind of stuff. And my sister would go skate, and I'd be like falling all over the place on my skates, but propping myself up at the video game.
I would. Oh, and then they'd ruin your night. Like, couple skate only. Everyone off, only couple skate. Like, yeah. I'm 12. I got nobody to skate with. And then like some middle-aged woman, like, would you skate with me? Like, no, you're scaring me.
You smell like beer. Yeah.
You smell like when my aunt gets happy.
So at Encom, they're also working on a digitizer, which is the means to get Flynn into the video game, where he gets set up by the master control program and he gets sucked into the video game. And then that's where everything else in the movie basically takes place.
Can I do want to say that this movie gave us a very piss poor look at what we thought computer hacking would be.
Oh yeah.
You just basically typed in like a simple sentence and the computer would be like, nah. Okay. Nah. Like, I wrote the code. But let's see the code, bitch. I don't see any code.
That's just like word games. Like, war games like, let's play Global Thermonuclear War or whatever. You're hacking into NORAD with your probably at that point 14.4K modem. Modems were so cool to me. Like, War Games is probably the first movie I ever saw a modem in, where Matthew Broderick, takes his phone and puts it on the modem and is able to talk to other computers.
We had a kid at our school that was in my grade, and I don't know if you knew him, and he basically tried to convince people that he hacked into SunWest Bank using the modem that his dad had on his computer.
Everybody probably believed him too, because we were so gullible and we didn't know shit about computers.
It was like the one kid that could break dance. Remember him?
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And he would always tell us, like, I know how to dance because when I didn't go to school here, I went to school with black people, and that's how I know how to break dance because I only those they're the only people that know how to do this.
We're just like, whoa, you know, black people. that was completely alien to us in Kirtland, New Mexico.
Very much.
This is another aside. Remember I think we had you probably had Mr. Rice. I had Mr. Rice in the gifted and talented.
Yeah, look where that got me.
I know, we're so talented. I could dominate a sixth grader in trivia right now. Anyway, they had the first Apple IIc computers, and we'd play the shit out of Oregon Trail, Lemonade Stand, and Lode Runner. Remember Lode Runner?
Dude, Lode Runner. That was so. I had an Apple IIe, and Lode Runner and Dragon Quest.
Yes, Dragon Quest. That was awesome. And that was just like a little X and O's and stuff like that. And you're navigating through a maze, but that's still in your mind that you were playing like freaking Baldur's Gate or something.
And you had to get quarrels. You had to get iron or stone.
Yes.
And the dragons were D's and they would flash. And then, I even mapped out that whole GD game. I played it recently. There's emulators online. I looked up all of these games. I have so many Tron emulators loaded up in other tabs on my computer right now that you're really getting in the way of my retro video game playing on my computer. All right. And I hope you're proud of yourself, you son of a bitch.
Well, let's just talk about the best parts of the movie is the light cycle race. That was just fucking awesome. Oh, even the little highlight, the thing where you had to throw the glowing ball and knock out the circles underneath your feet, and then you'd eventually fall off. That was freaking cool. And then of course the identity discs, and that was just sweet. But the everybody remembers the light cycles because that was just awesome.
See, I had Tron Deadly Discs, man. That was the one I got on television. That part I loved. You have no idea how many nights I sat up wishing I had a way to make a Frisbee return back to me. There's got to be a way to make that thing snap back like a boomerang.
Yeah, it was just sweet. This movie, it brings back a lot of nostalgia for arcades and just the Tron video game itself. The Tron video game is so simple. I used to think it was way more epic than it was, but it was just 4 modes. It was when you kill the little bugs and try to get into the center of the circle and get beamed up. It was the tanks, and then it was the light cycle, and it was the one where you blasted the little pieces to get into the cone, and you kept repeating that as it just got harder and harder.
Yeah, 100%. Now I'm just thinking about how many times I did that, because when you got pulled into the cone, you could spin the dial, and his arm would start going in crazy ass circles as you went up.
That's funny. Oh, I just thought of something. There would be sit down video games at every place. Like, of course, Pizza Hut, there was always one. Godfather's Pizza had a really cool little gaming place in the back, and they had the really cool aliens, Space Invader pinball machine with the fake alien ripoff, xenomorph. And then, like, I think there was like a place was it called Grandy's or some place where it was like a sit down restaurant, but at the front near the bar there was a sit down video game like Pac-Man. It was a bootleg. Never mind, it wasn't Pac-Man. It was a bootleg Donkey Kong. It was like somebody like did an off-brand Donkey Kong remake. My whole memories of childhood are based around video games.
I'm thinking the sit down ones. I mean, all I can think of are at oh my God, at Pizza Hut.
Yeah, Pizza Hut, absolutely.
Because we would sit down and play those after we like completely demolished a greasy fucking deep dish pizza, and then we'd go get their salad bar and think we were healthy before that. Mm-hmm. God, I wish I could still eat like that, honestly.
I know, have a salad. It's just a little bit of iceberg lettuce, a half a pound of blue cheese with sunflower seeds, croutons, and bacon bits on it.
You're talking about now or then?
Then. Well, now I'll still eat that if there's a salad bar. There's this place in Colorado Springs called Fargo's Pizza, and it's got a little arcade in there, and it's got an old style pizza. The pizza's not very good. It's like Pistol Pete's pizza level pizza, but it's got a good salad bar.
Oh,
We'll
Pistol
go there every
Pete's.
once in a while.
Pistol Pete's fed a hungry me when I only had $5 many, many times. This was
Mm-hmm.
pre Little Caesars. I even had I love that pizza so much. I had a Pistol Pete's shirt. I wish I still had.
That'd be vintage. That'd be retro. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh my God. Wear that around Farmington and just have all the old guys look at you and start nodding like, I remember that place.
So back to the movie. It's pretty simple. They break out into the main game world or the virtual world with the light cycles, and they're pretty much just hunted for the rest of the movie by the what the hell they call the recognizers. Yes, and then they get on the little solar sailor thing, and Tron talks to his user, which is Alan, and gets the key how to beat the master control program, and which is like to basically throw your disc in a weak spot, which is totally video game construct. And they get to that, and there's a couple of near deaths. You think Tron dies one time, you think Alan dies one time, and then poor, was it Ram? He gets killed very unceremoniously.
Yep. Well, he was dead weight.
Yeah, he was.
Because only apparently 3 programmers jumped into the world, according to that one jackass.
Yeah, so they get to it, and you get to the main battle, which is Alan versus Sark, or Tron versus Sark, and then Flynn jumps in for some unknown reason, and that fixes everything.
Well, it weakens it. He's got a user in there. I think if we learned anything, and here's the problem, is that we did not have Power Rangers, right? We did have...
Not at that point, no.
Yeah. Now, we'd have like Ultraman, right? We had Ultraman.
Mm-hmm.
So if a bad guy gets big, never necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was cool, though. I thought it was cool when he came back big. It's like, whoa, man, final boss. Let's talk about David Warner. He was in a lot of movies. I specifically remember him in The Omen, getting his head chopped off by a pane of glass in the Omen.
Oh, yeah.
In that part, because he's the photographer. And then he was in Time Bandits. He was evil in Time Bandits. So in 81 and 82, he had a kind of a good year for being a bad guy, a good couple of years for being a bad guy, because he was pretty awesome in Time Bandits.
Dude, he was also in The Company of Wolves, too.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, and Waxwork. Yeah. Star Trek The Final Frontier.
Oh, yeah, Undiscovered Country. He was
Country.
He was an admiral. No, he was a Klingon. Pardon me.
In The Mouth of Madness, which is kind of an underseen John Carpenter movie. So he was in a lot of cool shit, but I definitely remember him in Time Bandits and in Tron as being the bad guy. But of course, we vanquish the Master Control Program, and it's all good. It just kind of ends kind of abruptly. They're like, hey, let's go visit Flynn at Encom. And then he comes off a helicopter. They all meet each other, and they're like, meet me back in 20 minutes. And yay, it's over. It's just kind of abruptly over.
I was a little disappointed in Flynn because I figured he'd had a better suit, or at least cooler clothes.
Yeah. One thing that Jeff Bridges doesn't do, what he always does in every other movie, is chew ice while he's acting. He's an ice chewing actor. In almost any other movie, he relies on eating ice and drinking and talking at the same time. He's like, that's like his vice. If you watch what's that movie?
That's just your opinion, man.
But in that movie, The Door on the Floor, which is based on a James Irving novel, he's eating ice the entire movie. And he's, of course, is Obadiah Stane in Iron Man. He's eating ice in that movie. It's just a weird affectation that I've noticed in his movies.
I like that this got you so worked up I could hear you thumping the table. That was good.
So let's talk about the golden age of arcade video games. Do you want to hear my top 10 first, though?
Do you have a top 10? Have you thought this out?
Of course I have a top 10. And this is the golden age of video games from 1978 to 1985-ish. So my number one classic video game is Galaga. I have one of those one-up arcade machines down in my basement, and it's got Miss Pac-Man, it's got Galaga on it, it's got Joust, and it's got 15 other video games on it, but I only really play Galaga because that's always been my favorite. I can play the shit out of Galaga. I love that one. The cool thing about Galaga is that the aliens would capture your ship, and then you can get your ship back, and you had the dual dual ships that could fire. Number 2 was Sinistar. I love that game where you're basically the Sinistar is the evil creature, and he basically puts himself together a little by little, and you have to mine these little asteroids to get these crystals to make Sinis bombs or Sin bombs that kill Sinistar. But he's fucking loud when he puts together. He's like, "Run!" And it was just super loud and scary. That's one of the first video games you're like, "Oh!" You felt a lot of stress playing. And Star Wars from 1983, that one had one of the best cabinets of all time too, where you would sit down and it had the cool little flight controller, and it was this 3D sound where you could hear Obi-Wan talking behind you and Darth Vader and stuff. That was just amazing. Donkey Kong is number 4. Tempest is number 5. I love me some Tempest. Centipede is number 6. Tron is number 7. Robotron 2084. I love that one because it was you would move with one joystick and shoot with the other. It was you were always shooting, and you would just have to clear out the and rescue the people, and then like the family or whatever, and then you would just bigger and bigger waves of bad guys would come. That was amazing. Gyrus, which was came out in 1983, and that had it was kind of like Galaga, but in you could move all the way around the CRT with the kind of the Tempest kind of joystick where you could twist the paddle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Punch Out from 1984, the original one before the NES version. That was amazing. And then honorable mentions for me: Miss Pac-Man, Karate Champ, 1941, Dragon's Lair, and Spy Hunter are my top 10, but with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 honorable mentions. Neil, I see you were writing out yours.
Yes, I was typing out a few there. Okay, so these are not in a particular order, and I didn't even throw this one in. Okay, Missile Command.
Oh shit! Yeah, Missile Command's classic.
Missile Command, Galaga, Joust, Defender, Joust, amazing. You're sitting there.
I remember
tapping that button to get that fucking ostrich to fly, and then those guys are just winging right at you.
I just remember you were really good at Joust.
Yes.
I remember that was like a game that you were like really good at.
I still love the game. I've seen it a couple times, like at retro arcades. It's the first thing I do. I feel like Adam Sandler in Pixels talking to my kid. There's patterns, and then it varies the pattern, so you have to watch it. All right, and Defender, Moon Patrol, which was a lot like Pitfall, but you were in a buggy and you had to shoot.
Oh yeah, I remember you could shoot up in front.
Those were the ones. Tron. Punch Out, Zaxxon. Because
Zaxxon was cool.
That one always got me because I would not pay attention to where my shadow was and run into stuff because it had that weird, like 2-point perspective thing going on. Track and Field.
You'd have to hit the buttons when you're running. Yeah,
and I was good at that. That I could do. Yep. And then I watched the guy take like a plastic comb and then just like when you take a ruler and you go, he would sit there and do that with the comb and was just wasting people. I'm like, oh my God, I can do that. Dragon's Lair and then Kung Fu Master.
Yeah. Dragon's Lair was
and
amazing.
Karate Champ. Love that freaking game.
I remember we used to play Karate Champ at one of the pizza places, I think, Big Cheese or something like that.
Full point.
Yeah, we used to play the shit out of that. When you go back to Dragon's Lair, that was the first video game that cost 50 cents.
Yeah, that was an obscene amount just to get your ass kicked in like 2 moves.
Yeah, exactly, because you had to memorize the patterns on that one because it wasn't really a video game in interactive. You just had to move
the joystick,
the daring or whatever. The guy.
You'd get the little flash. You get the little flash, and you had to get it within a certain amount of time. Thank you to the internet and all the internet gods. And to all the fellow geeks out there, someone finally posted the animations for Dragon's Lair from beginning to end.
With all the deaths and stuff?
No, fuck the deaths. We've seen the deaths before a million times. I needed to know the whole damn story, like how he beat the dragon and got the girl. The deaths, we've all been killed every way there can be killed in that game. I don't need to be reminded of my failures.
What about Space Ace was the sequel, quasi-sequel to Dragon's Lair. It was the same done by the same company that Don Bluth animation, and I always thought that was cool because the bad guy had the like infantilizer gun. You would shoot you
yeah.
and turn you into a baby. Yeah, that was pretty damn awesome. So here's another more of the list of the games that we talked about a few of them, but here this list of golden age video games is pretty damn cool. Starting from 1978 with Space Invaders. Pong came out before Space Invaders, but Space Invaders really put video games on the map in my mind.
I had a Pong console. That's how deep my video game geek goes. I had a freaking Pong console.
And Galaxian was like a fancier Space Invaders. It was Galaga came after Galaxian, but Galaxian was pretty cool. I can still remember the way the bullets sound. The way the yeah, Lunar Lander and Asteroids. I used to suck at Asteroids. If you hit boost by mistake, you were screwed.
Yeah, you're done. You're coming in.
If you could just stay in the middle, you would be all right. But if you hit boost, you were just screwed. Battle Zone, that was pretty awesome. That was the tank one where you put your face and everybody else's greasy face inside the tank.
Yep.
The tank viewer.
Something that would never fly today.
Mm-hmm. Berserk was really fun. That was a fun one. I used to hate that little smiley face of doom that would bounce into the room while you were there. Missile Command, that it was an amazing one. That one had the first one with the trackball.
Yep.
That I remember that you would hit in the area in the path of the missiles that were coming in. Pac-Man, of course. Rally X, that was pretty awesome. Star Castle was interesting because it had that overlay on the CRT. And it was like cellophane or whatever. The overlay was like red, blue, and green.
Mm-hmm.
And your guy was in the middle. Wizard of War, Defender, that was amazing.
And Dig Dug. Not a super complicated game, but still really fun. Like right up there with Qbert.
I can remember that one. Blip, blip, blip. And you would like, diddle, 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 and then you would go in the middle and you had the stupid dragon would come down and stuff. That was pretty awesome. Frogger. That's pretty awesome one. Galaga. Gorf. That was pretty great. Burger Time.
We've even we brought Frogger back. They've got that Crossy Chicken game every time we go to mini golf. With the Crossy Chicken, but the 3D chicken hopping across. Like, back up, kids. Let me show you how this is done.
Burger Time, Dig Dug, Donkey Kong Jr., which was pretty awesome. I remember Donkey Kong Jr. could grab the two of the vines and go up them. Joust, which we talked about previously, was pretty awesome. Moon Patrol, Miss Pac-Man, Pengo, Pole Position. Oh man, I love me some Pole Position. I sucked at it, but I always loved to play it.
Yeah, never got into Pole Position.
Popeye, Qbert, Robotron 284, Gravatar, Crystal Castles, Dragon's Lair, Mappy.
Yeah, never saw that one. No clue what that was.
The original Mario Brothers, which was just basically you would hit the ground or the pipes above you, and you would knock the little like turtles and crabs.
Yep,
that was very simple. Spy Hunter, man, I used to play the crap out of that one. It was awesome with the truck that would like unload your car. You could like, I would always hit the stupid oil patches. 1942, I love that one. Kung Fu Master. Oh yeah, I remember that cabinet. Awesome. Paperboy. So after that it became the newer wave of video games, and I watched this is on YouTube. I watched an entire run through of Golden Axe the other day.
Sweet.
Golden Axe and Altered Beast.
Yeah, you had to be in there if you're doing that.
Rise from your grave. Yeah, so I watched both of those, and then that was just a lot of fun because one game that we used to play so much is Golden Axe, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. We used to play that a lot too.
I was always the dwarf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
always had
to get stuck with the lady.
No, lady. No, you chose the lady. You didn't get stuck. You chose.
The arcade, man. It was the greatest experience of our young lives.
Well, maybe not the greatest, but it was up there.
Yeah. I'm talking about our young lives. Like, from 8 to 12. 6 to 12 or something like that, yeah. Before we fully discovered the ladies and were preoccupied.
Just a touch.
So next week we're going back to do a comedy before we get into spooky season, and we're going to talk about Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks, which we'll talk about a lot when we get to the episode. This movie was very influential to me as a kid.
Nick, or do we call you Mr. the Dick? What?
It's Nick. Yeah, amazing movie. So, additionally, about the podcast, we just started a YouTube page. Woo-hoo. And it's basically just recordings of our podcast done in YouTube form, but now will be available on YouTube Music and on YouTube. I might start a couple of playlists of my favorite movie trailers and other things like that on our YouTube channel, but it just started this week, and it has all this year's podcasts on it that have been uploaded so far, and it'll continue to update every week with the newest episodes. So we are on YouTube. Look up Retro Video Store Podcast on YouTube, and we are there. Our socials are Instagram and Threads and Facebook. We are there. Anything else? Instagram? Oh, if you want to buy us coffee, go to buymeacoffee.com and look at the Retro Video Store. And if you want to send us an email, maybe some suggestions for spooky season, starting in September, rvspodcast222@gmail.com. We appreciate when you write in. We will shout you out if you do.
I'm actually looking at all of us here on YouTube. Holy crap!
Yeah, and a couple of people have listened to stuff. Like 5 people have listened to Mortal Kombat already since it's only been up for like less than 24 hours. So that's cool.
Did you enable comments?
Yes.
Oh, you have to share these with me when they come in.
You guys suck.
You guys suck. What a bunch of buffoons.
Guys suck. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We're doing pretty good download wise, so appreciate everybody who is listening to us, and thanks so much. And we will see you next week, and hopefully you have a good week.
Yeah. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.